習近平主席，香港人需要真民主。Dear President Xi, Hong Kong people want true democracy. Today we place an ad in the International New York Times and also Wall Street Journal. As you can see, it's in English, but we also did the Chinese translation. Very simple, direct messages. Please, this is to President Xi Jinping. Please honor one country, two systems as prescribed in the basic law. Hong Kong people want true democracy, and don't stage a Tiananmen crackdown. The whole world is watching. I guess maybe a little bit about our group. After Professor Benny Tai wrote an article at Hong Kong Economic Journal, Sunbo, on January 16th of last year, it caught my attention, and then we formed this finance and banking group in March last year. And every month we have been having small group discussions to think about how we can defend true democracy in Hong Kong. Now, I know with the decision from Beijing on August 31st, seems like everything looks kind of gloomy, but we hasn't lost our hope yet. I think we will continue with our fight. We will continue with giving out messages, especially to the international community, that we are under duress right now, and that we will use every possible peaceful means to achieve, hopefully to strive for our true democracy in Hong Kong. And if we cannot succeed in our generation, I hope the next generation will continue. I guess I would like to ask Pastor Feng, who was a legislator back in the colonial days from 91 to 95, just to say a word of prayer before we continue.
Perhaps I'll say a few words in English first. By the National People's Congress Standing Committee's decision made on the 31st of August, the Chinese Communist Party has nakedly told Hong Kong and the world that it will not honor the promises contained in Articles 45 and 68 of the Basic Law to give Hong Kong true democracy and universal suffrage. Hong Kong people want nothing more than basic human dignity. We want nothing more than being respected and trusted by our sovereign power. We have come a long way from a British colony to a special administrative region. We have been promised by the Basic Law that there would be high degree of autonomy, Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong. But what have we got, given the August 31st decision of the NPC Standing Committee? The Central People's Government, the Chinese Communist Party, has spoken. The Chinese Communist Party is telling us and the world that it will insist on pre-selection of candidates whose name would go onto a poll ticket that would be given to Hong Kong voters come 2017. But if I may ask, what is the use of that vote when all the names on the poll ticket have been pre-selected by the Communist Party? Where is the right that Hong Kong people have not only been promised, but ought to be enjoying, to use our free will to decide on who is to rule Hong Kong, who we would want to put at the helm? This is unacceptable. But of course, we understand that the Chinese Communist Party is almighty. It thinks that it is omnipotent. It can do anything. What we do is that we would participate in the Occupy Central with Love and Peace movement. We participate in the movement, in the sit-in, not because we think for one single moment that this sit-in will change the mind of the Chinese Communist Party. We stage the sit-in. We participate in this civil disobedience because we want to tell the Chinese Communist Party that we are not going to take his breach of promise to Hong Kong lying down. We want to tell the world that Hong Kong people will continue our strive for true universal suffrage and true democracy. We want to set the scene for the next wave of democratic movement to be led by people much younger than Edward Chin and myself. We want to pass on the baton to these young people who will carry on this fight for true democracy. And we want, by our participation in the Occupy Central movement, to help the rest of Hong Kong to wake up to the threat that we have been put under. And that will help the next wave of democratic movement led by much younger people whose future is on the line. This is why we participate in the Occupy Central movement.
我想咧就係將呢一個民主棒咧 pass 俾一個第四代嘅老外啦，咁啊佢有香港血統，咁已經喺香港第四代。I would like Evan Fowler, who is a fourth generation Hong Kong to say a few words why you want to join this fight for true democracy. Possibly you will occupy Central. Evan, come out.
No, thank you, Ed. I will start by saying a few things about myself. I'm here not to speak to you as a member of Occupy. I'm here not to speak to you as a member of any political association or political party. Simply because I'm not a member of any of those things. I'm here to speak to you as a Hongkongian, as someone who was born here. I have my parents call Hong Kong home, my grandparents call Hong Kong home, my great-grandparents are buried here. I didn't come to Hong Kong. I didn't choose Hong Kong because Hong Kong was the best place to go. Hong Kong is who I am. Hong Kong shaped me as it shaped all of us. And what's happening now, and something we have to really sort of stand up for, is our very home. Our identity is being challenged. Now, for many people, it's not about high ideals. It's not about believing in the perfect democracy. There is no perfect democratic system. But we do have a home. And we want a system that allows for a government to be accountable to its people. I'm sure most of you, I can see it's lots of cameras, mostly reporters. I'm sure you feel the same as I do when I get told that Guangdonghua, the language of my mother, the language of my grandparents, who were patriots to China, is not a language anymore. When I am told that the history that we have seen is no longer the official narrative, I find that insulting, not just to me, but to all the people who have shaped me, to the experiences that have shaped me and made me who I am. Now, as I said, I'm not a member of Occupy. I am merely someone who I'm very proud to say is a Hongkongyang. And I think what the people are doing, what the people at Occupy are doing, is they're standing up. Again, not for this ideal, they're standing up for who we are. And I appeal to China, I appeal to Beijing to say, respect your people. We don't want to be separate. No one is thinking that. We just want to be respected, and we want you to hold to the promises. Promises you didn't make to yourself, promises you didn't make to Britain. These are promises you made to the people of Hong Kong, and hold by those promises in spirit as well as in word. Thank you.
Mr. Chen, how are preparations for Occupy Central going? Will the finance and banking professionals be taking any action?
I think we will follow the core group. The finance and banking group is relatively small. We have around 80 participants who is in investment banks, hedge funds, regulatory bodies, but using their own personal capacity to join this peaceful movement. Now, the most important thing is we are looking for an international standard to choose the next chief executive, not someone who is cherry-picked by Beijing, 2 or 3 candidates, but a real election process. So we are saddened by the fact that after what's announced by Beijing on August 31st, it seems like all hope is lost, but our fight will continue in a peaceful way. And we hope the Communist Party will listen to our requests for true democracy. And we are not trying to fight with them in any violent way, but we will be continuously be placing ads when we can raise enough money to do so, but in a forceful way, just like what we do today. It's a statement to President Xi. This is the second statement already. The first one was on April 23rd of this year, which is the 10 request to the Communist Party.
But how do you expect to gain support from people if so many are concerned about the inconvenience that will be caused by Occupy Central?
I don't think there will be inconvenience. At first, the pro-establishment camp talk about X dollar amount of market cap will be lost, but honestly, if it is a peaceful protest demonstration, even maybe on the fringe side of perhaps breaking the law, they could arrest these participants in 6 to 9 hours. I don't see how it could disturb the stock market. What we are really concerned about is all these funny money coming into Hong Kong, and for the next 33 years, there's no fair competition. So besides what Benny Tai talks about, a true and fair way to select the next chief executive, the finance and banking group's concern is the unfairness in the marketplace right now. So this is what we are fighting for.
Do you expect a lot of people will join the Occupy Central movement?
Well, at first, Benny's estimate, which was based on his first article, was 10,000 people. I don't think of the number. What we are really thinking of as the moral awakening is the key thing. And I hope for those who are in power, there's a lot of corruption from the communist government. They should hear the Hong Kong voice, just like what Evan Fowler talked about, that he is a 4th generation Hong Kong person. So we have to defend our rights, and we have to defend Hong Kong first, and we have to do it with love and peace in a non-violent way. This is the only way that we can win. If we cannot succeed in our generation, hopefully the next generation will continue before 2014.
How do you answer criticism that you're harming Hong Kong's competitiveness or as a business centre?
Well, the finance and banking group, what we are really fighting for, besides true and fair way to choose the next chief executive based on international standards, we are also fighting for fair play, fairness in Hong Kong, fair competition. We see this is slowly eroding. So the finance and banking group, we have around 80 people who is in the regulatory body, hedge funds, long funds, investment banks. But in unity, what we are really hoping for is there's a fair competition. So there will be upward mobility for everyone until 2014.
Why do you place sees adverts in international papers and not in local papers?
Well, we think it's more effective right now because it seems like there's only one free pro-democracy newspaper left, and then the invisible hand is giving whoever is pro-democracy a lot of attack. So I think it's important for the outside world, especially foreign press, to know about the true Hong Kong, what we are suffering about, which is our long fight for true democracy for the last 30 years. And we hope the communist government would give us room to breathe.
Are you happy with the turnout today? It's not a big protest.
It's a peaceful demonstration, so definitely we are not looking for a big protest. If it is a big peaceful demonstration / protest, that will be in the Occupy Central.
You hinted that the group will take some further action. What are you referring to?
Sorry?
You hinted that the group will take some further action. What are you referring to?
The further action will be more like placing ads in international newspapers. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the time. Everyone is busy with their trading, with their corporate finance work. So, we will not be sitting down, blocking, not enough people. But we'll be continuing with this type of peaceful message. But we need the international community to leverage the message.
Can I ask you something not that related, but the Scottish are having a referendum. Do you see the struggle as similar to that of Hong Kong?
Well, I can't really comment, but definitely Hong Kong it's part of China, no doubt about it. And I guess Hong Kong people's fight, it's also because the Beijing government is using a lot of scare tactics. I don't think that happened in Scotland. Right? It's not a scare tactics, and also there's a lot of fake stuff after the June 22nd referendum. You see, there's the anti-Occupy Central group, using unlimited resources just to cook up the numbers. Whenever you have 700,000 people come up and vote online, they want 1 million. So this is a little bit crazy the way I look at it. So this is not the Hong Kong that I used to know.